MFP community. Coach Marco here, Coach Joe, and
Jackie Falcone.
Behold, the great Falcone. So we figured after last week, which was a little, I'm not going to say dark, but it got a little deep with our conversation talking about the CrossFit Games. We figured it'd be a great way to segue into one of our member interviews, especially with somebody like Jackie, who is just a complete light within our community and really just a great way to elevate our attitudes and our moods as we get into this next podcast this week. So we're going to talk all about Jackie. Right? We know, and many of you guys who know Jackie, we know how this is going to flow and segue. But again, before we get into that, let's just take our 3 deep breaths. Let's get ourselves grounded, get ourselves organized, get ourselves ready to go. All right? So sit up tall, close your eyes. Just start finding your space energetically. How's the body? How's the mind? How's the spirit? And again, just take the moment of gratitude for yourself, for making the effort to listen to the podcast today, and for us giving the gratitude to Jackie to make the time out of her busy lifestyle to share with us a story of growth, a story of what we do here at MFP. Let's take our 3 deep breaths. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Hold your breath. And through the mouth, exhale. Second breath, inhale. Hold. And exhale. Long and slow. Last one, best one. Deep breath in. Hold your breath. 5, 4, 3, 2, and to the mouth, slow exhale. Wonderful, wonderful. I needed that because I'm nervous, man. We got the great Falcone here. Shit. Yeah. All right, Joe.
All right. So a little quote I have is from Brianna Wiest, and it says, "Your mountain is the block between you and the life you want to live. Facing it is also the only path to your freedom and becoming. You are here because a trigger showed you your wound, and your wound will show you your path, and your path will show you your destiny." So I think there's, just a friendly reminder that sometimes, we really do have to face challenging things to facilitate growth. And, true growth and true self-mastery doesn't happen until, we finally have it in us to face that mountain, and persevere through it and face something that we previously might have been avoiding or, casting aside. So just this idea of confronting and then overcoming and becoming your best self through that, I think is really important.
Yeah, we talk a lot about, every week about how would we start to, transmute our fear, transmute things that are obstacles into a positive, right? Take the negative, turn it into a positive. And really it's how do we learn our skills here at the gym and then take that into the outside world. However, for a lot of people, the fear is actually just making that first step of showing up to the gym, right? And I think with what you're talking about, the mountain is the gym itself. It's the building space. So for a lot of people, a lot of you can attest to that, right? Just that initial fear, that first day, if you have no experience at all, just showing up to CrossFit and you see this gym and you see all the fun toys and tools, and to segue that into Jackie for you, we have, again, the great Jackie Falcone, who has a great story of maybe overcoming that fear herself. But before we talk about your story of how you made that decision to, show up for that first class, I just want to say, one, a testimony to Jackie is just, how she's been a big part of this community for how many years? 4? 4 or 5?
Probably 5 at this point.
Yeah. I say we're getting close to 5 years. So that's a really, long-term journey and testimony, but it's also just the beginning within a CrossFit journey. I think 5 years is still, really just setting the stage of, where we're going to progress to. And so, the gym's about 6 years old. So the idea that you've kind of been through this whole cycle to the gym and being able to see the ups, downs, turnarounds, and, everything in between. So give us a little bit of a background about, what was your experience of like making that first step to show up, and, what was it like for you within that class?
So I don't remember my first class.
Okay, fair enough.
But I do remember what brought me in, and that was Kev came. Well, he saw that you guys were opening before you were even open, and he was a committed 5 a.m.er, and now I can't even imagine that person. But he loved it here. And your quote, Joe, at the beginning, it really kind of like reminded me of where Kev and I came from. Because Kev and I, we had one son at the time, Kian. We had just moved to Havertown, and we were actually like in like a rut, like a family rut. We were really struggling. We went to therapy. We were like just trying to fix everything about us. And actually coming here, and we say this to ourselves and we say this to a couple of members here, but I don't think we've ever said it publicly, like this saved our marriage, like, and our family. And really once I had Brennan, and then I was like healing, and I was done kind of like getting over that mountain of fear. When Brennan was 6 months old and I went back to work, I decided to come here, and I was terrified. And I was like, I am going to be so sore, and it's going to be so scary and overwhelming, but I just kept coming back.
Well, I first want to just really appreciate you sharing that story. I mean, I have a decent background understanding of most of this, being, one of your first coaches here. And just so you guys know, she's talking about Kevin, her children. Most of you guys already know, but Kevin, her husband, was a member here in the very, very, very beginning of MFP. And obviously you guys see your kids here, obviously, if you come to the PM classes. But yeah, I just wanted to say, appreciate you for sharing that story, because I think one of the things is that sometimes the hardest things to share are sometimes the most essential tools for others to learn from and have a good perspective and widen that perspective of life. And it's really important. Sometimes being vulnerable and being open is a powerful thing. So definitely want to touch on that.
Do you remember like what it was about CrossFit that made Kev first interested, and then you as well? Like, did you have like a familiarity with CrossFit, or was just like, cool, what's this?
We weren't very familiar. No, he went to a gym up by where we used to live, but there weren't CrossFit gyms everywhere. So it was really, he was excited when there was going to be one right down the street, because we're right less than a mile away. And prior to that, he was looking in like King of Prussia and stuff. And it's having a place that is close and a place that you truly love, like the people and the coaching and the mindset, that is huge. So honestly, I didn't know anything coming in. I knew that there was going to be things that I had literally never done before. I never picked up a barbell. I never lifted weights really at all. I was a runner in high school, and then throughout college, I just didn't really exercise. I did some yoga, and but that was more for the mindfulness and the breathing and easing anxiety, things like that. I never really looked at it as truly a physical activity. So I would still run on the side, but then I was having knee problems and back problems and ankle problems, and all of that I kept, like, throughout my pregnancies, like it was pretty much like, oh, this is just your body being old or something. Yeah. And actually coming here, I don't have any knee pain anymore. I don't have any back pain anymore. I am significantly stronger than I ever was in my entire life. I'm probably in the best shape of my life right now, even though like I'm heavier than I really wanted to be throughout my life. But I know that at this point, it's all showing me what my body can do. And that, I think, is what kept bringing me back over and over and over again.
Well, I always say, I would love to have like a time machine for your first class, because seriously, like when I coach Jackie now, Jackie is one of the most, like, the best A1 movers at this gym. Like you very rarely need to be cued, like from Olympic lifting to just how you move mindfully. Like you move so well. But I always go back to like you talking to me saying like when I first started, like it was like trainer bar was like almost impossible.
It was.
You
I
know,
couldn't
like
even pick it up.
so like just seeing like I mean I've been here as a member and then a coach for 4 years now, but I would have loved to just like meet day one Jackie because your growth is amazing.
I can actually attest. I distinctly remember Jackie when you first started because I remember you with that trainer bar and how hard it was doing a bar and like tens on a front squat.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is completely normal, right? But I mean, there is something about how you decide to continue that journey, even when you're in recognition of like, wow, I could probably look at everybody else around me in the class and notice where they're at. But for you, my question is, touch a little bit about this journey and like, how did you continue to stay in this lane of this is where I'm at. I'm just going to keep showing up, continue to stay motivated, do your thing. Because again, like I remember this, like hanging on a bar was extremely hard for you.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll talk about Kev's journey in a second. That's a great one. But talk a little bit about your transition of like how you continued to keep a positive mindset, knowing where your level was at.
So it honestly, like even now, like when I see there's hanging and like pull-ups, I'm still like, oh my God, really again?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, throughout my many years of, I'm a very like mindful, reflective person already. So I try to like look back and be like, this is how you get better. You can't let this get you down. Yes, double unders frustrate me every time I do them, but I have to keep doing them. Like you have to keep showing up when it's especially things that you don't want to do.
Yep.
And given that this place really was like the rekindling of my marriage and my family really coming back together, like that gave Kev and I something else to talk about. It gave us something else that we had in common. It gave me somewhere to bring my kids when he was working out, and then eventually he would bring them down because it was easy with the stroller and everything. And it helps to have a partner that's with you doing it, because he's also like, we should really go, or you should make time today. Like, don't just put the kids or me or dinner ahead of that. Like, you have to prioritize it. And now that's really like the first thing we think about when we're planning our week is, when are you doing the gym? When should I do the gym? And then we fit everything else around it.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that. I'm very very touched by the story and very grateful that you shared it. And I guess my question is just, what was it about like being here with Kevin and like sharing the space and moving together that brought you together in the best way possible? Like, what was it about just showing up?
I think it was having something else that was new in common. Mm-hmm. And I love how you said we're moving together. We weren't moving together at all. Like, he was coming to the 5 a.m. I would have to come to a PM class. Like, we haven't been able to work out together until very recently, once the kids can actually be here with us. So that was a totally different hurdle that we had to keep overcoming, was like, all right, we have to do the exchange. Like when we had a 4 and then a 5 right after each other, like one of us would come with the kids and do the exchange, and one of us would be leaving early.
Remember those days? Well, that's when they needed strollers back in the day. They don't need strollers anymore, guys.
And now they're running around jumping on the boxes.
I love it. Well, and Joe and I can attest to, being in a marriage where your significant other does CrossFit as well. And I mean, that's how I met my wife. I mean, I was a trainer and she was an athlete, but CrossFit really was a magical space for us to, continue our journey together through our connection. And right, obviously, you didn't meet Nora through CrossFit, but CrossFit was a big bond for you guys, right? And so, that's like a huge part of our marriage, is to have something to connect over that allows us to be better human beings, right? And we know the physical health is a priority. I mean, I'm not going to say should be a priority, but it's an essential part of like how we grow as people, as humans. Not saying that you have to do CrossFit to make change in your life in the physical world, but what we do in CrossFit includes much more than the physical. And one of the reasons why you're here is because you embody that. You embody the other aspects of like how CrossFit increases your mental, emotional, and spiritual work. And obviously, Joe touched on like the mindfulness aspect of like how you move. And 100%, like that's one of the big things. If we talk about Jackie in the gym, it's like you process cognitively very well of like how to move correctly and move well, because you're very receptive to, by the way we teach that. And that was one of these many reasons why, if we're going to segue into these Marco memories that I have of you, when I decided to create awards for the end of the year for our celebrations, Jackie was the very first member of the year. And this was at the end of 2020. I don't need to talk more about 2020, but what we can say is that that was a challenging time for all of us to continue our journey at MFP, especially during those days when we didn't have the gym open. So on top of like, progress, moving well, and all these things, our memory of Jackie was like during that COVID time, like you were one of those people that were just still motivated to stay active and keep physical health a priority for yourself, even though it was a difficult time. And we know we gave out equipment and we did all these things to make it happen for you guys. But you were the one that was like part of the community that's like sharing your workout, sharing a post-workout photo, showing you the kids working out with you, showing you and Kev or whatever. And that was one of the big reasons why, one, I was like, we have a member that really stands out and embodies the MFP mission. And I think Jackie would be a great example for that. So why don't you touch on that a little bit, when we had this first member of the year and you guys were the ones.
Yeah, I was really shocked at that. And I've spoken about this before with you. It's just everybody here is just really amazing, members and coaches. But 2020 is really when I think it hit me that I have to prioritize the gym. I can't tell myself like, oh, 5 o'clock will roll around or 5:30 will roll around and that's just when I go. That's really, I think, when Kevin and I both really started to have to communicate about our schedule and our needs and when we needed to work out. So he was still doing PMs pretty much. That was like the only time he could, because his job was remote before COVID. So his work continued as normal. And I was home. I was home with the kids and attempting to upload things onto the internet for my students to do. So we would really just plan to work out. I would get all the equipment out and he would put it away when he was done. And it was a really nice way to connect with other people that were adults, because throughout the day it was just like herding a 1 and a 3-year-old around during 2020 was absolute madness. Yeah. But I think the only thing that kept me sane was working out and wine.
Yeah. I think like
it's a combo right there.
Honestly though, like it's so important, like for me, like finding like-minded people that you can connect with, like especially at every age of life, like you need that. And that's why like there's a reason why CrossFit people hang out with CrossFit people. It's because like we have shared values, we have similar lifestyles, and like we connect. And I think that that's been one of the biggest draws to me from CrossFit as long as I've been a part of the community, is like just the connections I've made with so many people at this gym, at others gyms, of just same but different, right? Like we
different ways of life.
Yeah,
too.
we of all different backgrounds, different ages, but we share so much in common. Like we have this common experience, and it's super cool.
It is really neat.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on about commonality in CrossFit and how, this is like what our society needs, is to find things where we have common ground, because it's only going to get a little spicier in the next few months. We'll talk about that another day. But yeah, where do we find common ground, right? Where do we find ways to come together? And I think as I continue to talk about these Marco memories of you, how helpful you and Kevin have been for growing our community. And I've expressed that to you many times, and how grateful I am as a business owner to have people like that I've been able to attract in my life in general, and you guys being those forerunners in our community. And to give you guys a little bit more clarity, they are one of the first people that would, raise their hand or just poke at me of being like, how can I get more involved? Or whether if it's Kev wanting to do, the guys group, or Jackie wanting to, get more involved with something that we're doing. For example, last year when we did our quarterfinals, and like just wanting to be there to help judge the athletes and just be there for us to connect, or just being somebody in the class that's going to be like, hey, you got this. Like another coach that's a member. Like those are some of the best things that we can ask for, is just like having another person to be there to pick up members when they're in the workout themselves. Like, 'cause, I'm dragging sometimes. I want to be, hey, you got this. But when you have another member like that, it's so valuable. And then another example would be is like when I decided to start this grant idea. And this was basically a free membership for somebody who didn't have the resources to have the luxury of being in a gym, and but wanted fitness to help improve their lives. Beep. And you guys really stepped up to that need and being able to financially support that grant. And so I'm super grateful just to have had those experiences and continue to have those experiences with you guys. But I would just, anything that comes to your mind with those experiences, like over the years, how you've helped support the growth in the community and the business, has been really valuable. So yeah, let it rip.
So I guess with the support system, I guess coming in here, it's always felt very supportive of me and Kevin and our family. So it's natural for us to get what we give. So it's easy to give what you have when you know it's well received and it's, I guess, appreciated. So it really made it easy. You guys have pretty much been our family here. I see, and I feel like you say this a lot in class, like we see our gym buddies, like they're not even buddies anymore. They're like our family members. We see our gym family way more than I see my blood family. Yep. I mean, not including Kevin and the kids, but like my parents, I don't see them nearly as much. My brother, cousins, but here we see you guys every single day, and it's easy to make those really meaningful relationships. Yeah.
Does that mean I'll start being invited for holidays?
You're always invited.
Okay, thanks.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, again, you guys are a great testimony, and so many of you guys are too. I mean, again, I'm just touching on, Jackie here, and, I just think, again, I just come back to like how grateful I am to attract people that come to this common ground of wanting to just improve the community. So, but I do want to touch a little bit more about this concept of like developing habits, because we went on a few episodes where we just touched about like how do we create non-negotiables in our life. And you pretty much already touched on this, like your motivation to why you're even here every time, because it goes deeper than just the physical. It becomes back to like, your purpose in your life. But in terms of like how you actually create like these schedules and these non-negotiables, like I know I need to work out, I have to be here. Or just other habits, right? It could be just how you, set up your kids on a day-to-day basis, but like kind of go into a little bit about you personally, about like what makes you such a motivated person to set non-negotiables in our life. Because I think for you in general, just who you are, you're like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to set it, right? So tell me a little bit of background about like how that makes you, like what made you that type of person.
I think age, honestly, is like the biggest thing. I think once I escaped my 20s and got into my 30s, I realized what I really wanted. And I realized what you have to sacrifice to get what you want, and also what you can kind of let go of in order to get what you want. And sometimes that letting go is not necessarily a sacrifice. It's just you have to move on. So I guess like my biggest priority is always the kids and the family. So once I get that all situated, and then let's say I have a work requirement in the evening, I'm like, well, I'm doing the 5 a.m. and I don't care if I don't like it. I have to do it, because if I miss that day, then it kind of snowballs, and my mental health suffers at that point too. But there are definitely weeks when I have to skip more than I would like, and I give up on that too. I don't hold myself and beat myself up about not getting here every single day. I try to get here as much as I can over the summer, because I know that I can.
Right.
Because then I know the school year comes, especially September, October, November. It is a mess with after school meetings, back to school night, all those sorts of things, sports now with the kids. And over time, I've just kind of gotten it really out of my head about it, and just said, this is what needs to happen, and you just got to do it. And try your best to enjoy your time when you're here, because you know there's chaos right outside that door.
So as, someone who has a busy schedule, like, you're a teacher, and now we could talk about it later, but a small business owner, soon to be currently, but when it opens, shout out to Mac Mart.
September.
So how has being so consistent and setting these non-negotiables and habits here enhanced every aspect of your life, from every hat you wear, like teacher Jackie, mom Jackie, wife Jackie, friend Jackie, sister, whatever, every hat you wear,
I think it's allowed me to prioritize me, and not let the other extraneous crap get in the way. So I'm no longer apologizing for taking time for myself, because I now know that it is a non-negotiable. You have to fill your own cup before you can fill anybody else's. And that took me a long time to realize, was you have to prioritize yourself. If that's coming to the gym every day, that's great. If that's coming 3 days a week, if that's coming 2 days a week, if that's going to a different gym or taking a long walk, whatever you have to do to get yourself in order, that's what you have to do. And really just making it a priority, and then honestly getting the kids on the schedule too makes it so much easier, where it's not oh, I'm sorry guys, we have to go to the gym. They love coming here now, so it's become this is their favorite place. It's a big playground, how could they not? But that makes it substantially easier. And having my husband, who also is a member here, all of that, I can imagine if you didn't bring your kids and your spouse or significant other wasn't a member, it would be hard for them to understand how important it is. So it's nice having everybody, I hate to say buying in, because that seems like it's...
No, that's fair. Well, first, we'll give a little congratulations. You had this past month, you were our top July attendee with 29 classes. So obviously you're talking about the summer, and you're building consistency and these non-negotiables and showing up. That's obviously statistically showing. And, the big thing is, what are we taking out of this that allows us to really unfold layers that are multidimensional? It's not, again, about the physical. It's about the mental, emotional, spiritual. And I think what you touched on is, doing this really allows you to find a form of self. And I think we can all say, when you're here, this is Jackie, you are, and I think I could just say from the beginning, the evolution of Jackie has been really phenomenal to just witness, because you're starting to find these layers of true self of who we are. And that's really a part of our greater spiritual purpose in life, is to really find out what's our true self. And coming back to the true self from spiritual shaman's perspective, is just to be to find positive love, and find happiness, and find joy with the things that we do on our day-to-day basis. And that could be both shallow and deep, but again, coming back to how you embody that, right? When you're here, you are really just every time just opening up a new portal for yourself to just continue to grow and grow and grow. And like I said from the very beginning, these 5 years are just really just tapping the surface. And again, I've told you some things I've already manifested in my head for you, but I think what we should talk about as I segue into that is, the future, Jackie. I would like to touch on first, like your kids, because I mean everyone knows that the Falcones bring Keen and Brennan to their classes with them, especially Friday PMs with their pizza boxes, and and I think for us, like that's just like a staple in our community. I think like that's a great thing for our community just to like embrace, right? Because like some gym owners or gym members could be like, oh fuck, their kids are here, but like your kids are really embrace the experience being here. But the bigger picture is the legacy that you and Kevin are now again realizing with this is like, what are you showing your kids and how are you allowing them to grow through this process with you guys?
Yeah, Kevin and I were actually talking about that on the run on Saturday when we were partners.
Oh, cool.
Was because Park's dad was here. I was like, oh man, Park and his dad, they're both so fit. And I was like, I didn't have that growing up. And Kev was like, me neither. And we both just looked at each other. We were like, well, hopefully our kids will be able to see that in us and continue down this path. And I know Brennan loves doing all the things here. He loves doing single arm handstands on the wall. That came out of nowhere. Kian likes just kind of running around. I don't think he's going to be too terribly into CrossFit, but he loves soccer. So really, as long as they're active and happy, that's really all we're worried about. So we hope that they see us happy and they want to continue on that.
Yeah, I mean, what I always have admired about you and Kev is you guys just lead by example, and I watch, like when I coach you and Kev, like Brennan's always in the corner, like he's watching, like he's always watching. And then like sometimes he gets brave enough to like kind of march on out and he'll want to try something like burpees or whatever, or his single arm handstand, which are like, it's like, oh my God, this guy's strong. So like, yeah, like you just like lead by example and it's so cool to see. And I love having the kids here. And it really is like part of like, it's like the evening ritual. It's like, I always joke, I need as many Falcones as I can get. Like when I only have one, it's not ideal. Ideally, I have 4. Sometimes I'll have 2, but the more Falcones, the better.
I also, I know, and I think really too is the bigger thing is like the example, right?
Yeah.
I mean, regardless if they, do CrossFit later on, right? They at least have, energetically and visually like what's happening with you guys, right? Obviously you talked about your story of build up for you both, but the happiness that you guys are able to express and embody again. And well, if you guys haven't seen, we just did our like MFP. We call it the Just Show Up lifestyle commercial, where I think Kevin was just a great representation of this. But it really showed like what we do in the gym translates outside. So for him just to be able to like sit at Kaufmeyer's with the kids and have water ice and just like be in the present moment with them, because when he's here, he's learning how to be happier and more fulfilled. You're learning to be happier and more fulfilled because you're doing something for yourself. And now that's moving on to, your relationship with your kids. And I just thought that was just something really important to bring up. And then in addition, we know that you're a teacher at Springfield High School. You can tell us everything about what you teach, but you've been navigating that lifestyle for so long, and now we have grand finale, drum roll, which all of you already know, but the Mac Mart, Ardmore's finest, cheesiest mac and cheese spot that you'll be going to right around the corner from us here. And so just talk a little bit about like how this is now transitioning into your career, right? Tell us a little bit more about your teaching career and how this is also going to lead into, the Mac Mart.
So I teach high school biology primarily, but chemistry this year. So that'll be fun. And we all know a bunch of teachers. We have a lot of teachers here, and teaching is a lot during the school year, and then eventually it can get a little bit stale sometimes. So like you change it up a little bit, and I'm going to my 16th year of teaching at this point. So nice. I am in the midst of it. Not too terribly close to retirement, but far enough away from being a first year that I kind of know what I'm doing at this point. And Kev has always wanted to open a business. So we took the leap, and throughout every step, we've just kind of been like, well, if it doesn't work, at least we tried. If it doesn't work, at least we tried. At least we tried. And in a month, probably a month from a couple days from now, we will be open. And right when I was getting into like the swing of teaching and didn't have any new things thrown at me, now we're going to open a business. So, and that's going to be a big juggling act, and we're going to really like lean on our people. And that's one thing that I've learned a lot of, especially being here too, is like everyone's so willing to help. And I was always too, I guess, like strong-willed, stubborn to accept help. But like anyone who comes up to me now from the PM classes, AM classes, weekends, they're like, oh, if you need anything, I'm like, actually, yes, we do. Like we reached out to Lucy to take some photographs for us. And Amy from the PMs offered her husband to help us build things. Like, and Joe came over and you offered to help move the oven.
Yeah, the oven was heavy.
And that was, so we're really lucky to have all of you guys and the support. And honestly, like it would not, and Dan Greenspun has been a huge help too. I have to just call him out because he's been incredibly helpful with questions and scaffolding and just random things where I'm like, I don't know who to ask. Like I'll text somebody I know from the gym, and everyone's been so willing to help. And it is like, I can't even put it into words how grateful we are.
Yeah, and like that's the best part of community, right? Like you always have a guy. I have a guy. You
always
always have a guy.
Very
for something.
Delco of us.
Yeah, but like I think it's really admirable. Like you and Kev like taking this leap. Like it's just going back to this idea of facing fears, like just trying new stuff and being willing to do stuff. Like that's a mindset that not everybody has. Like not everybody's willing. Like not everyone's willing to take that step and really try something new. And I think it's super cool. And I think being here for so many years has just like helped you and Kev like develop that mindset. And I'm super excited for you guys. Like you guys are gonna be awesome. MacMart's gonna be the best, and I can't wait for the oven to be in use. That was 600 pounds.
Yep. It's hooked up. It's hardwired in there now, so it's not leaving.
It's ready to go. Okay, it's ready to go. Yeah, I mean, and I think the last thing is, as a teacher, I guarantee you're stronger than most of your students.
Oh, because I have many like lax as life dudes and football guys in my classes, and
you could totally.
A lot of time they'll be like wearing their like 100-pound club shirt or whatever. They have like, I don't know, whatever they do at Springfield, but they're all very like big guys. I remember last year it was around the Open, and one of my coworkers also does CrossFit. I was trying to get her here, but she lives in Chichester, so she went to a place down near where she lives. But we were talking, and she was talking about wall walks, and one of the students was like, what's a wall walk? I was like, oh, I'll show you. So I did a wall walk, and he was like, that looks easy. I was like, get up there. And he couldn't do it. He got his feet up on the wall. We should not have been doing this at school. We should not have been doing this in the classroom. But he got his feet up on the wall. He was like, I don't know how you do that. I was like, me neither, dude. But
oh, that's so good.
It really is funny because you got to put the high schoolers in their place every now and again.
Well, one, I got three things. Okay, one, I love that you're. I can definitely guarantee that at least when it comes to technique, form, and mechanics, way more efficient. Movement, quality-wise, way more efficient than all of them, although they're all very strong athletes. So I'm glad you called them out, because you should, and be proud of yourself of everything you did. Two is, and I can attest to this from knowing all CrossFit communities, especially the community I was a part of last time, is just understanding how when you create this atmosphere of individuals who come together, we all have our different traits and our handy skills. And, for everybody listening to this, like, know that, you guys have resources. Like if someone asks me like about something and I don't know, I'm like, post it in the members group. Mm-hmm. Post it in the members group. If you need help with something, post it. I guarantee you'll find somebody who has the skill that would be more than happy and willing to support each other because, again, we have this collective bond that is CrossFit. And 3, and I talked to Kevin about this when I went to go visit the Mac Mart and just, see things out and just like kind of like that business to business owner conversation, like how long's your lease term, but I really had, and I can, it kind of makes me a little emotional just thinking about like the process of starting a business. And I can relate in like exactly every word that you're saying about like this fear and the doubt. And it's like, for me, I'm so fortunate and grateful to have, all the support from, my wife and my friends, but more importantly, like have these individuals that I just attracted that like were able to at least help me financially to get a few things going, and to just have my mom who was able to like, help me get a pull-up rig, paint this logo, or, have a few people that I knew that I could hook me up with somebody with equipment that I didn't have. And it was just, these initial steps. And I remember having conversations with so many people as I was manifesting this idea of starting a gym, and like how many people were so scared for me. And they're like, and I even had family that doubted me, it was like, wow, and it made me second guess myself, like, can I do this? Should I be doing this? And they're just they have fear for me, not saying they don't want me to succeed, but there's so many times where, I've had to just navigate that space, but come back to like, why I'm doing this, and understanding that there was a greater purpose for me to start this community, in which, really coming back to, this conversation today is one of those confirmations of like, I knew I was doing it for a reason, even though there was so much fear for me and doubt. Just to continue to like make that stride to do it is, I told Kevin, like, be proud of yourself. I was like excited. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. This is awesome for you guys. Like, to be able to do something like this, like you said, regardless of the outcome, I told him, don't think like that. You got this. I'm like, just, you guys got support. We're going to make this happen. Put the energy into it. Because when we get into, how manifesting works in the spiritual aspect of like finding passion, like if you have passion in it, it will grow. The more positive energy and frequencies and vibration you can put into what you have, it will grow. And so that's something I've really come back to a lot over the times where I feel like I get stuck, is like, how much passion can I put into this? And it might feel stuck in the moment, but I know it's going to grow. Mm-hmm. Just like watering a plant, the sun is the passion, yeah. Give it a little bit of water. It's true. Give it a little bit of water and juice, boom.
Give it too much water though.
Okay, no. Right. Don't want to overflow it. You're right. So anyway, I know I just kind of went off on a little tangent, but I just wanted to say like how excited I am for you guys. Like, I think it's awesome. I just love seeing people taking a leap because I can relate. So let's segue and finish up this conversation. We've got some really good content so far, but I think one of the biggest things we like to ask, people that we interview and the members is, bringing, if you're going to talk to somebody about CrossFit, and, which you guys already do, spread the good word, but just give us, a little bit of information and advice about, like, if you're talking to somebody, like, what would you tell them advice-wise about getting started and, just in general starting conversation?
I would say, and I know we put it on shirts. I was going to wear my shirt today. You really do just have to sign up and just show up. And I would say to anyone who is considering starting, push yourself, but not too hard in the beginning. Know your limits and take your rest days. So Coach Amy yelled at me on my little macro tracker that I needed to take rest days after I did my 29 classes in July. And yes, Coach Amy, I do need to take my rest days. But for anyone who's starting, I would definitely say rest, do not stop. You have to keep going back because you're going to be sore and you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't do that. I don't want to go to that class. But that's the exact class that you need to go to.
Yeah, and I think, I've even noticed you like give advice to when we have like new members or free trialers come in, like some of them will say like, oh my God, like I can't do that. Like they'll watch you like throwing around barbells and, you know, doing your thing, and they're like, oh my God. But like you even said to members, like, just like scale, like you don't know where I was when I started.
Yeah,
and
I tell all of them, I'm like, I could not pick up the bar.
And I think like it's hard for some people to believe that, but it just showed, because like you like look like you've been doing this for like 10, 15 years, like, but you know, that's the truth, and it's only been 5. And like I just think it's such a good reminder for, you know, as you know, with people who are just starting and people who are brand new to fitness and feeling intimidated, like seeing like, hey, if you're consistent and you show up and you like trust what we're doing every day, like it'll make a huge difference. And I always love when you say that to members, because I'm like, hell yeah, Jackie.
I don't think they believe me though. That's okay. But I think even John made fun of me a bunch when he realized that I was sticking around. He was like, I remember when you couldn't even pick up the bar. I was like, yeah.
Good times. Big shout out to the coach Amy there for keeping our members in track with the nutrition vibes there, and obviously your White Walker connection. We know you guys, you got a thing. Yeah, so really just the end it here. I think, you know, we talk about, you know, this new, I guess, reemergence or rebranding of MFP with this whole idea of like just showing up, right? And again, it's, for me, just to articulate that to the community, it's just really me coming back to like my mission when I very first started this gym to begin with. And it's always been my philosophy about how do we improve ourselves in all areas of self, right? Not the physical, mental, emotional. And so really that's my mission. And so, but for you, like, how do you, you know, what does this just show up mean to you, right? This new way of how we want to just show up in all areas of our life. Like, how would you, you know, resonate with that?
I think pretty much the same way I would say about the gym is like, keep coming back even when it's hard. Take a break if you need it, and just keep moving through. Because sometimes you do have to take a break in life from things, from work, and do it. Because you are the most important thing in your life. So you have to prioritize that.
You are the most important thing in your life, so you have to prioritize that. I think that's how we end it. That's self-love right there, team. That's self-love. Well, again, Jackie, super grateful for you. I mean, honestly, this is a really great conversation. I can't wait for the members to hear this. And yeah, and so just for you guys to stay updated with a few gym things now as we start to move out of this. We got, you know, the summer ending, and so the fall is starting to approach, and you know, this is a great time to really connect as a community. And so in addition to like the new fall programming, we have a handful of exciting events throughout the entire fall that are going to be happening for you within terms of the gym space, and also the other side of the building as well, and just overall, again, things that we're going to plan for our community to keep things spicy and fun. So we're going to wrap it up from here, guys. All right, so tune in next time. Again, we got Jackie Falcone. We got Jackie Falcone. You can actually keep that. You know, why not? We got Jackie Falcone. That's going to be a joke now. We got Coach Joe Yumbola, Coach Marco here. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.